What's up,
Hello,
dude?
brother.
How's it going?
Oh, it's going. It's it's been a week.
It's been like a 3 weeks.
Oh, yeah, 3 weeks. Yeah,
For
3 weeks for us. Yeah,
sure. COVID, all that fun stuff. You've traveled. I had travel plans
traveled.
canceled. Yeah,
Yep.
good times. But anyway, man, let's do this introduction, huh? So like episode 34.
34. Yep.
Yeah, welcome back, guys. So episode 34, those two dads. We're gonna do a quick little episode of what's been going on just in the world of those two dads and give some people some updates. So
Yeah.
yeah, so inside scoop, right? So we're going to talk about a little bit of life stuff, some work stuff, business, and cool updates on things that we're working on. So um, I
It'll be fun.
think too, you have some plans of dropping like some of our favorite moments from the podcast over the last 30 episodes or so.
Yeah. Yeah. Just we'll talk about them and stuff like that, and maybe we'll bring in once we get it remastered and put up onto YouTube. Maybe we'll do some jump cuts over to some of those things too. Right now, since we're live, we're just going to go through the updates and we'll talk about some of those and, just kind of give an update and figure out, just give everybody an idea of kind of what we're working on and how life's been. I mean, we've been doing interview after interview for the last,
like 10 episodes.
Like 6-7 months, something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, let's do it. So before we get really rocking and rolling, do all the stuff, guys. We really appreciate all your guys' support. So if you could go like the podcast on your favorite podcast platform, give it a follow, go over to our YouTube channel, give it a like, give it a follow. That would really help us. Excuse me. That would really, that's a little insight into what we're dealing with.
Yep.
But that would really help us to grow this podcast. So if you guys get value out of this, go hit the hearts, hit the likes, do all the things. So really appreciate your support and helping us grow. So let's do it, man. Let's jump into it.
Yeah. Well, they got a little taste of, your your little throat clear and my raspy voice. We've been dealing with the sick for a while.
Everybody has, man. It's
Crazy.
kind of ravaging our country right now, but it
is.
does seem like this variant or whatever, and not to get into all that kind of thing, but it seems like it's more cold-like symptoms and quick to pass. So at least it was in our house. So I had my two boys both tested positive. One of them was sick for a day. The other one never was actually sick at all. So like somehow I managed to like matrix around it. My wife had it. My two boys had it. I never tested positive, but I guess I have some symptoms, but I still never tested positive.
Yeah. Yeah, that was, I mean, our house got hit with it too over the holidays. Well, so our house got hit with a little bit something different. We got hit with the flu, and so we got influenza A that ran through the house, and so Owen got it pretty bad. He was down for a few days. He ended up having a fever of up to 102, and he was just miserable. But again, it was quick, right? Like he had a fever for a couple days, and then all of a sudden he bounced back and his energy came back and he was great. And we went and got him tested. He was negative for COVID and positive for flu A. And then, we got through the holidays, and then Jeremiah got
flu A is going around like crazy right now too. So
right.
Like
Exactly.
It's not like other diseases halted. I mean, they're cruising too.
Right. And so that's kind of where it happened with our house too, is we ended up having, everybody got sick, and then we thought we were in the clear, and I did some traveling, which I'll talk about a little bit later, but coming back from traveling, I ended up getting sick again. And this time I don't know what it was because I didn't go in and get tested. 1 second. Still got a bit of.
I did that a minute ago, but you were talking, so
yeah. So, but yeah, it took me out, man. I had body aches and headache and congestion, and and that's the thing,
all
is
that fun stuff.
We're all dealing with it. Everybody, somebody's gotten some form of something in the last few months, and it's that time of year too. this time of year is always hard for people because we're all getting together for the holidays, and people are passing things around, and so we deal with it in one way or another. Nobody's
Sorry, I don't know that.
my Alexa just started talking to me. That's funny.
That's
So,
amazing.
but anyways, yeah, it's one of those things that you kind of have to gear up this time of year and take some extra vitamin C and zinc and things like that, and just try to make yourself as healthy as possible. And no matter how healthy we are, sometimes it's just unavoidable, right? We're gonna get sick, and sometimes it's great to get it out of the way, and sometimes it sucks, but it's just we
the
dealt with
timing,
it.
it's like never ideal.
No.
For our oldest, he had school up until Christmas break, right? Has Christmas break. I think, it was Monday after New Year's, right? Is the day he was supposed to go back. So he's fine, right?
Right.
We dropped him off at school at whatever time, 8:15, and I run up to QT, and I was going to come back to the house, but before I was working from home that day or something like that, and Heather texts me, and she's like, "Ollie just tested positive for COVID." I'm like, "Oh Christ!" And so I call Finley school. I'm like, "Well, I just dropped him off, but his brother just tested positive, so I need to come get him." And so the long and short, Finley didn't go back to class until this week.
Oh, wow.
So his 5-day quarantine, then he got it that next Sunday. So basically a week after his brother tested positive.
Yep.
Right. And so he tests positive, but he's like, again, not sick. And then we're all still working from home. And then we go into Martin Luther King holiday on Monday, right? So no school. And then Tuesday, his school had a professional development day. My son didn't go back till Wednesday from Christmas break, dude. It's like you got a college break.
Right. Yeah. You got a whole
maybe
month
work from
off of
home, but it's
school.
not the same, Like it was like, I mean, every parent that tried to work at home and had young kids in school, especially like at the beginning of the pandemic and stuff, like knows it's so hard. You have to make sure they're good. They're working on something. You're trying to work, with your deal, and you can't get into any deep work whatsoever, and then when you have conference calls, it's crazy. So that was our last 2 weeks, right? And so not that we hadn't dealt with it before, but it was it just wasn't what I wanted to do again.
Right. Well, and that's the thing is, for my wife and I, we've been working at home ever since the pandemic started. And so whenever the kids were home, we were working. And you're right, it does make it hard to concentrate, to get into any deep work. Conference calls sometimes get interrupted because the kids need something. And, one thing I will say is I do believe that the current state of things, we've all started to learn how to manage our own emotions when somebody else has to go through something. So when somebody else says, "Hey, hold on a second, I got to go, let my kid in the door, or I got to go give my kid a snack or whatever," like nobody gets upset because we all understand the situation. We all understand.
That's really interesting, and something I was thinking about, because I totally agree with what you're saying. And I feel like our patience with each other and understanding with each other has grown. But I tell you what, dude, and maybe this is just something that I'm personally struggling with right now. My patience for my kids right now is at an all-time, not there.
Yeah. Well, I think some of that maybe even comes to the point of we're so used to having everything be able to be done as quick as possible, and we're stressed out with other things too, is that when we want our kids to do something and they're kind of on their own time frame, they run in. I do truly believe that their clock runs slower. My wife and I were talking about this one day, and I was like, I'm pretty sure their clock runs slower than ours does. And we're like, hey, we got to go. Like, we got to get moving. And our 5 minutes is like 15 minutes to them. And so you almost have to start getting them moving way sooner. But then the one time that you think you've got it all planned out and you're like, all right, if I tell them 15 minutes before we need to leave, we're good. And then they're ready in 3 minutes. And now they're nipping at your heels like, hey, you said we got to go. Like, let's go, Dad. And you're like, but what? Like the whole last 2 weeks, you've taken 15 minutes to get ready. And now you take 2 minutes and now you're telling me to hurry up. So it's dealing with children is fun and interesting. And I think that it's kept us on our toes, but the patience thing, I think there's just too many factors that are out there that are causing us to be impatient with certain things, and that rolls over to our kids. I don't think we're impatient with our kids in any sort of intentional way. I think there's just too many other things going on in the world and in our lives, between work and business and all this other stuff, that we don't want to have to deal with the other problems. And so, because we're already dealing with enough, is some days, like maybe not every day, but I think that's some of it.
I think there's something to be said for that for sure. I was reading an article last night, and that was kind of the gist of it. It was like, look, if your kid's not listening, like, is that like, it was an article from like a parent coach or something. He's like or she was like, the most common issue that I hear from parents is my kid won't listen. And she kind of put it in quotes, and she's like, that's a broad statement. And she's like, 99.9% of the time, there's some sort of underlying issue that you need to like dig deeper and kind of figure out what's going on there. Right. And there's a fine line between, and she says a version of this in the article is like, there's a fine line between having patience with your kids and like trying to find that deeper thing. And then, having to, repeat yourself 50 times because you shouldn't repeat yourself 50 times.
Right.
So twice is the most you should do it. And, so, but the same goes for us, right? Like if our fuse is shorter, like you're just saying, then it's probably not strictly your kid,
Right.
It's what else is going on in your life? Why are you feeling this pressure of what's going on? And, that's, so you're basically just telling me to look in the mirror. So
hey, I'm telling myself that too, dude. I remember, the week leading up to traveling for me, I was really on edge because I had a lot of stuff I wanted to get done before leaving. I wanted to have all of my emails ready and scheduled for the week. I wanted to have all of my content ready to go. I was even hoping to have like a YouTube video scheduled to go out that week and everything. And I didn't get everything done. I was on edge. My fuse was shorter. I was, getting in in my kids' faces to, get stuff done. And I realized, I think it was probably like Thursday or Friday before I traveled, because I traveled Monday to Friday last week. So the 10th to the 14th. And that Friday before, I realized, I was like, holy cow, like I've been kind of a jerk the whole week because I've been trying to get stuff done and I've been being pulled in different directions. That was our oldest ended up having some issues with school and just all that kind of stuff. And there was just so many things happening. And I was so focused on what I wanted to get done that I wasn't putting any focus on what other people wanted. And so it's the same, anytime we're dealing with situations where we're on edge, we really should look in the mirror and just go, hey, what are you, like, look at yourself and go, what are you dealing with? And then just try to figure out that portion of it and maybe find out like, okay, I'm putting too much pressure on myself, or I'm putting too much pressure on my kids, or, I'm worried about this arbitrary thing that isn't going to matter in 5 days or 5 years. Like that's the thing that a lot of people forget about, is they forget that their own mentality, their own attitude, their own pressure and things they're dealing with rubs off on other people. And then we start thinking that those other people are the problem, when in reality, we could be the problem. We just have to be self-reflective enough to understand that. And it took me to, like I didn't cause any damage or anything, but, no emotional damage. But but it was definitely one of those things where I felt bad. And so that weekend I just tried to do a little bit of work and stuff, and then, pushed forward as much as I could.
Yeah,
But
it's so easy to
yeah,
just project your own BS onto the people that are closest to you, for sure.
yeah, it is. And I think it's a comfortability thing, you know?
I was trying to think about why that is too. Like, why is my like fuse shorter with like the people that I'm closest with and love and trust and expect to be there, but I have way more patience with some like complete stranger. Like that's like why? And is it the comfortability? Like I know like excuse me. I know that they're gonna accept me for my flaws or something, and I'm putting on like this other like not facade, but just like better manners or something for like people I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, well, it's interesting. We talk about reading articles, so that's as we get older and wiser, we start to realize that we don't know everything. So we start leaning on to articles and research papers and things like that. And I was reading one a while back. This was probably 2 or 3 months ago, and it was talking about interfamily relationships and just the behaviorisms and the mannerisms and just the things that we do in the home versus what we do outside the home. And so a good example is they talked about like discipline with your kids. A lot of times in the confines of your home, you're more freeing to discipline your kids a little bit more stricter than you would outside the home, because you don't want other people to think that you're a bad parent. And you don't think like that, just subconsciously that's what we do. And so it kind of came down to, they talked about the intentional and unintentional actions that we take. And so the unintentional are the ones that we have obviously less control over, the subconscious, automatic reactions of things. And comfortability was a big thing, part of it, right? Like if you're comfortable with someone, like if you and I are having a conversation, you're going to have less care to tell me the truth about what I'm going through and what your thoughts are and things like that, than if some random person was asking you the same question. If I came to you and said, Kyle, I'm struggling with this right now, man, you're going to give me an honest answer, versus if some random person was like, hey, Kyle, I'm struggling with this thing, what do you think? And you're going to kind of be reserved because you don't know that person well enough. And so they talked about that within the family, that and this is something to go along the last couple months with the holidays and people being sick and all that stuff and just being short fused. When we're comfortable, we have less of a care of our actions, because one of the things that we're going to run into is that we know that they're going to love us anyways. We know that they're going to care about us anyways. We know that they're going to, they're not going to hold a grudge against us for small things, right? And so when we think about that stuff, that article was talking about, we're more willing to let our true emotions, our true hang-ups, just be more open with our own family. And in some cases, that's us taking our frustrations out on our family. And
do you think part of that too is sometimes you feel like a frustration that's maybe out there, like it gets bottled up, and your comfortability, like you're saying, you just feel okay to be vulnerable, to just let raw emotion come out just because you're frustrated. It's the outlet, right? And it's not necessarily at that person, even though a lot of times it probably feels like it is. Sometimes maybe you think that you're not, but you are directing at that person. But it's really more about the cathartic outlet. Like maybe this isn't the best way to do it, but what you're saying, like comfortability, right?
Yep.
And then the raw emotion just pours out. Because
I think that's exactly what it is. And judging by what that article was talking about, and I want to say it was either Harvard or Stanford, one of the two, and it was a professor there that was writing, this memoir piece or whatever, not memoir, but like an article about, just mannerisms, behaviorisms, and they were a psychologist major, and so they were talking about this kind of stuff and relating that to what they were saying is that when we are comfortable with people, we're more likely to open up our true emotions to them. So a good example is, when I was at Freedom Fest last week, And, there was plenty of times where I let my true emotions out, which, sometimes I was very upset and sometimes I was, getting emotional for happy reasons. But
Got mad at Paul, huh?
yeah, oh yeah, oh totally. I don't know how anybody could get mad at Paul, seriously. But no, it just, when we're around people that we're comfortable with, we're more likely to let out what our true feelings are. And so when we're frustrated and beat down and, we're upset at whatever situation that we're going through, and then we go get ready for dinner and the kids are playing around and they're not listening, and the wife's sitting on the couch because she doesn't feel good and all this stuff. And then you're just like, your frustration starts to bubble up because it's almost like an amplifier, right? You're already frustrated from whatever else you're dealing with, and then they've just started piling on top of it until it explodes. And unfortunately, they're the ones in the vicinity when you finally let your true emotions out. And now you got your kids sitting there looking at you, probably with tears in their eyes because you lost your shit. The wife's looking at you like, what the hell's wrong with you? And you're standing there going, what the hell just happened? And
blacked out for a second.
Yeah, right. And it really, sometimes it feels like that, right? Like
sometimes, yeah.
You stand there and go, holy cow, I just like freaked out at my kids for what reason? And I think that's part of it, is that we're comfortable enough to let those true emotions out instead of really bottling it up. Where if that was a random person at work, you probably would have been like, and just like turned around and, gone and found a closet to yell in or something,
That would be funny, like walking in the hallway at work and like there's some like utility closet and you just hear some banshee scream.
That would be good.
Oh man.
Well, that was an interesting this is why I like doing some of these episodes, because we get the opportunity to speak what's on our mind, right? And be able to show a little bit about what we think about on a day-to-day basis as a dad. So speaking of the dad life, let us in on a little secret of what you got going on here coming up in the future.
Well, we're not totally ready for that secret.
You're not ready for that secret? No?
Not quite. There's still some people we got to tell.
Oh.
You let the cat out of the bag last episode, though.
Yeah, a little bit, but anyways, good changes coming for the beer and bong family.
We're expecting our third.
Yeah.
We're expecting our third. So we're super excited, but it's so early. So we weren't going to make like a big announcement about it.
Yeah, we're not going to make a big deal out of it. I'm only going to, create banners and videos and all that kind of stuff, Yeah,
right. Just exploded out there into the universe.
Yeah. No, but that's awesome. That's good stuff, dude.
We started letting people know earlier than we did with our first two kids, because we had this idea where we wanted to do a video from Santa. And so we for our two boys, right? We wanted them to find out that way. Because actually, is ironically, ever before this was like part of the picture, our oldest was like, "Wouldn't it be cool if Santa like brought us a baby?" We're like, "No, that's ridiculous." And then lo and behold, find out like a week and a half or something before Christmas that we're expecting, and then we're like, "Well, I guess we're gonna do this cool idea." And so there's this guy that we found last year who, it was videos from Santa. You texted him and like you just told him a little bit about your kids, and like he would just do a custom video for you and your kids. And so it's really cool. So we reached back out to him, and he did like a video just like last year, right? Where it was just, be good for your parents. We're going to bring some cool stuff for you, pay attention in your teacher's class, that type of stuff. And then comes back with the second video and he's like, "Guys, boys, something that I didn't tell you about before." And he's like, "Mommy and Daddy are expecting and have a little baby growing in Mommy's tummy," and or something along those lines, right? He's much more elegant and eloquent than me. But it was really sweet, and we'll probably post it online whenever we like make our big personal announcement or whatever, and I'll send it to you or whatever. But it was really cool, and so that's part of the reason like our secret came out a little bit earlier than we were ready for. But
yeah, and then of course I let the cat out of the bag on our last podcast.
Yeah, you just it must have been the cold medicine because you just like whoop.
Yeah, must have been. We'll
it's all good, dude.
Leave it at that.
It's all good.
Yeah, that's awesome though, and I'm proud of you, and I know that's a big deal for you guys, and so I'm happy to be part of your world where we'll be able to get updates and see how things go throughout the time frame, and we'll have to do a video after the fact, and we'll get you to take a little video of brand new baby beard balm, and then we'll put that up on the YouTube channel.
Hey man, we'll get it done.
Yeah, for sure.
Get it done.
It'll be good stuff.
Uh-oh. I hear a little one coming in here.
Oh, here we go. You hear the foot stomps?
More like the squealing.
Oh, the squealing. Yep.
Yeah.
I see you're ready for the mute button.
It's hovering.
Yep. You might get lucky. They might figure it out.
Don't jinx
that's something that our boys, we've been trying to give them the opportunity to figure out their problems and let them kind of work it out without making a big scene and coming up to us and doing the whole tattling and oh, Jeremiah did this, blah blah blah, and then Jeremiah coming down the and it's different because your boys are so close in age, but like my two boys being so far apart in age, a lot of times they'll do that where the oldest will come up and be like yeah, he's full of it. And so like the 5-year-old's whining because the oldest hit him or something like that, and then it'll be like Jeremiah will come down and be like, yeah, Owen shot the Nerf gun at the wall, it bounced back and hit him in the face, and he's blaming me for it or something, something silly like that. But it
is funny, like the creative stories they come up with though, that's like half truths.
Yeah.
When they don't want to admit that they were part of the problem.
Yep. They intentionally and creatively leave themselves out of the story. Yeah. So then you start thinking about it and you're going, wow, that sounds pretty mean. And then you go talk to the other one. They're like, oh yeah, that's not what happened. But yeah. So what else, what other big things you got going on now? You guys said you were doing something big for work too and stuff.
Big for work, and well, shoot, dude. I mean, I got podcasts over there. We got like, now I'm blanking on what I told you.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, but I mean, we're just leaning heavy into all things digital, man. Like one of the really cool things about my journey is being able to kind of jump into like the world of online at-home business and learning things like organic marketing and like things, different strategies with funnels and whatnot. And I've been able to kind of bleed all that back and forth between like my day job and, at home kind of work for myself stuff.
Yep.
Right. And like, it's just been really an interesting journey on taking what I've learned and applying it over in this one space. Taking a different lesson that I learned over here and applying it to this other space, and so it's been really cool. My digital marketing journey has come a long way since I really kind of started down that path a number of years ago. So
yeah, for sure.
So we've talked about this in episodes before, but like one, don't sleep on your 9 to 5. It's like it's certainly the easiest way to have stable income while you're building your freedom lifestyle, right? But like take those skills and apply them back over, take your negotiating skills that you learn in closing sales and learn to negotiate raises, while you're still there,
Yep.
or taking a tool and learning how to like create a pitch, right? And then adding that value into your operations, right? And so, and then that in turn, you keep bringing added value, you're only going to, learn more skills, take on more responsibility, earn more income, and then it flows back the other way. And so you never know what that one nugget of knowledge or that one relationship or that one tool or skill or whatever it is going to, how it's going to affect your life and in the life that you bring to your family, So,
Absolutely. No, you're right. And that's something that I think that is really powerful, that I think people who are doing that, they place more value on the accomplishments that they have versus people who aren't, right? So like people who are working their day job and still building a business and trying to do those things, and when they accomplish something, whether it's at work or at their business or even at home, I think that allows them to place more value into those things that they accomplish, and appreciate them and be grateful for them, quite a bit more, almost because, and not to discredit people who don't have day jobs and, just do home-based business or some sort of, entrepreneurial stuff on their own, but there's just a
more
different
power
level.
to you if you've made it there and you got the income.
Right. Absolutely. But it's almost people who are working towards that moment and are still trying to build a business on the side while still working a day job. I've found that when I talk to different types of people, the people that seem to be the most grateful for their accomplishments are those that are in that situation, because they're really they're so thankful for everything that they get through, because they feel like they have to work harder, right? And I'm not saying that people who are in that situation, who are self-employed, don't work as hard. It's just the mindset's very different, because you're working towards a major goal of getting rid of the day job. Those of us that are putting a lot of effort into a, home-based business or online-based business, we're not doing it because we are doing it as a hobby, or at least most of us aren't. Most of us are doing it to get out of our day job, so then that way we can be full-time in our business and have the freedom to choose what we want to do with our lives. And so it makes a huge difference for those of us that are reaching those next steps and those next levels. And we start to realize how much effort it takes to do that. And I know for one, that there's just going to be more work, but different type of work, when I do eventually become free, right? When I'm free from my 9 to 5, the work is going to be very different. It's going to be more geared towards placing value on other people, and it's going to be different types of accomplishments. Right now, it's just these little wins of, hey, I've done this one thing, or I've done this other thing to move myself forward. But eventually it's going to be the big wins of, hey, now I'm free. Now I can put together my own stuff. I can go travel more. I can go network with more people. And so some of those things, I think those little accomplishments mean less once you're free. And it's the bigger accomplishments and the things that are more valuable to the more broad community that then become more grateful. But we have to not forget about the little ones still. But I think it's those little ones that just mean more to us right now.
Sure. I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense. You got to stack all these little wins, consistently in order to reach your goals. I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday about team sports, right? And like we were kind of just talking about parenting in general and team sports. And I'll circle back on how this relates in a second. So I was telling him, I was like, my philosophy as a parent, right, is I want my kids to do some sort of extracurricular activity, right? That could be like my oldest is in hockey and baseball, and if that changes to something different in the future, that's fine, but not mid-season, right?
Right.
We're gonna use team sports here as the metaphor for life lessons. Like you learn to work as a team, you learn to set goals, you learn how like championships are not won during the game, it's won in the practice time that leads up to and all the preparation that leads up to the game.
Yep.
Right? That's what that is. You learn leadership skills and things like that. And so I was telling this guy, I'm like, as long as my kids are active in something, because you can learn that in any extracurricular activity. You can learn it in band, you can learn it in Boy Scouts, you can learn it in whatever other thing, like coding classes or whatever, like
Yep.
allows you to find something that you like and you set a goal and you achieve it, right? And so that lesson, those lessons, right, is what I want to instill in my own kids, right, for their lives, not just as kids, not just for team sports, not just for that one activity, but it's a lesson for your life. And as adults, right, it's sometimes easy to forget that it takes time and that it takes practice and repetition over a long time span for you to achieve your goal, or for you to be, actually good at something, rather than like some people think like, oh, overnight success happens. No, that person put in the time,
Yep.
maybe starting years ago, and built, so small wins every single day consistently for years, to look to finally see, to have everybody else think, oh, that's overnight success, right?
Yeah,
And so
I think that goes back to the saying that, overnight success is a 10-year job.
yeah,
Like there's so many of, some of the biggest marketers that we look at, and professional speakers, take guys like John Maxwell and Tony Robbins and Russell Brunson and Gary Vee. I was just listening to Gary Vee before we got our podcast going here. All these people, they talk about overnight success is never an overnight job. Number one, it's an inside job because you're not generally displaying your work to everybody. It's the iceberg effect, right? You got there's just a little bit that people see on top, but they forget about everything that's under the water. Oh, yep. He's got it taking care of the kids there. but yeah, so I mean, while Kyle takes care of that, I'll just finish my thought is, so the thing with the overnight success portion of business is that it can be a 3, 5, 10, even 15 or 20-year job where we're running into situations where we're overcoming challenges and we're overcoming other situations and things like that. And so that's where, we have a lot of those issues where people think that, oh, because you went from one level of your business at one point in time to all of a sudden being a multimillionaire the following year, people think, oh, well, you became an overnight success. It's like, no, you went through the blood, sweat, and tears. You went through all of the challenges. You celebrated those little wins. You jumped up and down in complete solitude, celebrating the fact that you achieved your goals while nobody was watching. And then next thing you know, people turn around and go, hey, you gained this success in such a short period of time. How'd you do that? And listen to the people who are truly grateful for the journey. They'll tell you that, oh yeah, this wasn't such a short period of time. It took a lot of work. It took a lot of effort. There was a lot of times I wanted to quit. The people that say, oh, it was no big deal. Yeah, I just, did this and did that, and then it just blew up. Those are the people you don't want to follow. The people who are telling you it was easy are the people you don't want to follow, because they're the ones that either A, rode on the coattails of somebody else, or B, they're discrediting the fact that they put a lot of work in beforehand to make themselves look like an overnight success. And that's not okay. There's no such thing as an overnight success. And there's no such thing as someone just doing, I mean, yes, videos go viral all the time, but look at the people who went viral with one video and then never did anything else. Where are they now? You don't see their name anywhere. But when you look at people who went viral and then they compounded on that and they worked on that and they continued to make content based off of that, that's where those people are still around, and I think that's the biggest difference between, winners and losers, is that winners do it, right? They just, like what Art Williams said, they just do it and do it and do it and do it until a job gets done. And then when that job is done, they find another job to do and they continue to do it.
It builds and builds and builds, man.
Yep. Well, we are coming up to, we don't have a whole lot of time left because we're going to be actually jumping on a different platform to get interviewed by another person. But,
It's a busy morning.
Yeah, busy morning. Yep. But this is what happens when you don't do much for a few weeks and, sickness and all that stuff. You got to kind of catch up. But quick update from my side. So aside from the whole family getting sick and my wife, Katie, had to have a couple surgeries for kidney stones, which she's doing better. She's recovering well. But
Good.
then now,
I was gonna let you lead with that. I wasn't gonna mention it unless you wanted to.
I go for it. What were you going to say?
No, that I wasn't going to bring up what
Yeah.
Katie was going through, because we were talking earlier about stuff everybody was dealing with, and like distractions and why people get frustrated and all that kind of thing.
Yep.
Well, Katie being sick and have a surgery, an unplanned one, for the most part,
Right,
is not the mostly stressful thing in the world.
Yeah. No, it's the good news is it's not something that she hasn't dealt with before, but she hasn't had to have one for a couple of years. And so it just kind of was another one of those, reminders that we're all human and we deal with bodily issues and health issues and stuff happens. But she's doing well, except now she's getting whatever I had sickness wise.
Oh no.
So like she recovers from surgery and now she's all stuffed up and coughing and stuff too. And so it's it's that cyclical process, right? One person gets it, the whole house eventually gets it.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, I mean, she's doing much better, and the kids, they've luckily been avoiding most of the sicknesses that goes around the schools. I mean, Owen got his flu, and then Jeremiah got a bit of a head cold at some point, and so that's been fine. We've been doing well in terms of the work side of things, just trudging along. The interesting part,
I think you have something to show everybody from the work side of things.
Well, the work side of things,
from your home business side of things, from your online stuff.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So from the online home business side of things. So last week, I went to Salt Lake City and I ended up getting to speak on stage. And so that was actually
check
really
that
cool.
out. He posted it on his personal YouTube page.
Yep, I've got it on my YouTube. I got it up there, so you guys can head over to.
What's that URL?
It is. I actually have it here. I'm gonna pull it up here in a second. And
if you go to our YouTube page, it's like one of the linked accounts.
Yeah. But basically, my YouTube channel has now got over 100 subscribers. I'm at 159 subscribers now. So I was able to give myself a personal URL. So I was able to change my URL to give myself a personal one. So it doesn't have the weird characters anymore. So that's the link down there for my YouTube channel. And it's the most recent video right now is the full speech. I only edit out the technical difficulties we had.
It's like 15 minutes, right? It's not that, or 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's not an hour long. It's about, I think it's like 18, 19 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, and, building authority in your niche, right?
Yep, how to create instant authority with your audience is the title.
Yeah.
And so I got to do that. That was my first actual live speaking engagement, which was awesome. And it was funny because a lot of people were like, oh, that was your first time ever? And I was like, yeah, I've never been on stage in front of people. I've done lives like this. And everybody thought that I'd been doing it forever. And they all gave me great compliments. It was
you had to have poise with that clicker malfunction.
Yeah, there was a lot of that's the YouTube channel. The video on YouTube won't show a lot of that because I did edit out a lot of the clicker malfunctions just for purposes of keeping people's attention on YouTube. But there was definitely a lot of times that the clicker wasn't working. So there was times that I was like over there, like, come on, get to the next slide.
Yeah, your audience had grace for that too, though.
Oh, they definitely did. They definitely did. So anyways, yeah. So while I was there, a portion of the event, they handed out some awards. And so I ended up getting an award called the Golden Helper Award. And I've got it back here, actually. So I don't know if you'll be able to see the words, but there it is there. So Golden Helper Award, and it says Extra Mile Service. And so what this award is for is, it's a little dirty. Got to clean it up a bit, shine her up a bit.
All the fingerprints. Stop picking it up.
Yep. Well, that's why I'm holding it on the edges now. But anyways, so So that one it's for basically service to the community. So providing service to not just the HBA community, but also just our broader community. And a lot of it's come from, I've been doing tech help with the community. I've been in our group and in our private chat that we have on Telegram, helping people with questions. What's interesting is after our next engagement here with the Those Two Dads podcast, I actually have a call that I'm going to be giving somebody from HBA to help them with tech help. And then I have another call on Tuesday scheduled with somebody for tech help, like just constantly serving the community in a positive way. And so me and one other person in the community were both given that award for our service to the community. And we were the only two people out of thousands of people in the community that got that award, because we've consistently gone above and beyond to help with no expectation in return. And so that was a huge thing for me for that one. And then
congratulations, man. That is amazing.
No, thank you. Yeah,
like you said, it's a community-based award, and all those people voted for you to receive that, which is super cool.
Yeah, all of the awards. So those little circle awards like that, there was a bunch of people who got different ones, like the Golden Heart and the Golden Smile. People who are super happy and smiley all the time. It was really cool because their awards, it was different. It wasn't all money based. A lot of times we go to these events. I've been in different network marketing companies and different things like that. And you go to these events and they're all money based. They're all rank based awards. And there's never like service community based awards. And here they basically had a survey that you could go nominate people for different types of awards. And there was leadership awards. And, they had one called the Golden Mic Award, which was basically people who are, constantly coming out in person and talking and helping the community and being a leader on their live calls and stuff. And I don't get to join all the live calls, at the time they're going because of work and stuff like that. But it's just one of those things where nobody was given it just because the leaders said, oh, that person deserves it. They were all voted for. Even the leaders that they got the Golden Mic Award, we all voted for them for those awards. So that's what's really cool about it, is that they were, given those awards out. And then they had other ones that were rank based. But here's what's cool, right? Is their ranks are not based on how much money you've made in the company. So the thing with the Home Business Academy is that we actually we give a lot of the profits. The company gives profits to the Feed My Starving Children Foundation. And so what they did is they called these benefactor awards. So basically what they are is they're awards based on how many days of meals your work in the company has provided to the Feed My Starving Children Foundation. So they're not giving an award based on how many commissions you've earned or how much money you're making or anything like that. It's how much has your service, your work, your sales that you've made through the company, how much has that impacted this charity? And that's what they're giving out the awards for what they call their rank-based awards. And I think that's something to be said about the way this company views what they do for the community, because almost every other company out there, like a good example is like Microsoft. This other crystal that I have, this one right here is a Microsoft one from my job for 5 years of service. Well, it's just 5 years of me being with the company. So they give me this, it's a nice crystal. It's definitely something that I'll, keep displayed because it's an achievement that I've made with the company, but it's still just time-based, right? There's no real value to it other than providing my time to the company. So to be able to, I didn't have enough charity into the Feed My Starving Children Foundation through HBA to get a benefactor award. But that's a goal for me to get to. I'm about a third of the way there right now. So that's a goal that I can go to. And so it's just really cool, right? That they do that. And even the event, they didn't take any profit from the event. And so
anything extra, right, went to Feed My Starving Children.
Right. So
that went above cost.
The final number for the event, after everything was all said and done, all the tickets that they sold above and beyond what they needed to pay for, ended up allowing them to provide over 12,000 days of meals to the Feed My Starving Children Foundation. So to put that in perspective, that means that 32 children are going to be fed for a year based off of the profits from the event.
It's amazing.
And as a whole for the company, that put us over 100,000 meals or 100,000 days of meals to children for Feed My Starving Children Foundation. So, and putting that in perspective, right? That's over 200 and I think they said 275 kids are going to be fed for a year based on the efforts through the company. So that's something that we're not just helping people start home-based businesses and online businesses. We're actually also helping children not die. We're helping starving children. I mean, we've got I wish I had it ready to pull it up because I didn't think that I was going to talk about this all that much, but we've been getting postcards. So the HBA has been getting postcards from the Feed My Starving Children Foundation of pictures of kids before and after of what they looked like before getting the meals and what they looked like after, as a direct reflection of what our efforts have done for them. And, seeing these children that have, their stomachs are all inflamed and their skin and bones and everything. And then they look like normal kids afterwards, and only after just a few months. And it's just rice and minerals and stuff like that in this pack. And so it's really, really cool. And I could go on for hours about the level of service that the community is providing. But the last thing I wanted to provide an update for as well is during the event, we also did a glass walk, and where we all got together and walked on glass. And so I have a little souvenir here. So this is, and for those of you that are on the podcast, you might want to pop over to YouTube to see this. This is actually a really gnarly piece of glass.
Yeah, I think it's huge, man. It's like the size
very
of your
sharp. And this was actually one that I stepped on that, I could point it out in the video where it was, and it didn't break. I felt it on my foot and it didn't break. And it was a pile of glass that we were walking on.
But did you break? Did you get cut?
I did not get cut. No, there was only 2 people out of the 30 plus people that actually did it. There's only 2 people that got cut, and they were minor. I mean, it wasn't.
And that was after they stepped off the stuff, right?
Yeah, one of them, he got cut while he was walking on it, but when we were talking later, he kind of curled his toes a little bit, and we think that like sliced his toe, but it was literally just a little tiny cut on his toe, and it was nothing. It wasn't a big deal. And people get all freaked out, and it's like, but that's the thing, right? It was designed to be an enlightening experience and help, overcome fears and things like that. I was really fearful. I've been, I've had glass slivers in my feet and things like that. I mean, some of the worst pain I've dealt with is my wife pulling a sliver of glass out of my foot. And the whole time I'm thinking, man, this is going to suck. It's going to hurt. And I get on there and I'm doing it. And I was shaking as I'm going through this. And Rob Four, who's a big time marketer in the online space, he was the one putting on the glass walk. He's gotten certified to do it through the same place that Tony Robbins got certified to do the glass walk and fire walk and all that stuff on his side. So, he was a great person to be there for us. And it was awesome, right? He was there to support us through it, and I made it through unscathed. And it was such an enlightening and empowering experience that I would recommend anybody do it, no matter how scary they think it is. I think that anybody who does it, they're going to come out a better person on the other side for sure.
Nice.
So, but yeah,
well, we need to wrap this up because we got to get to that interview.
Yep, we got a few minutes, but otherwise, big things coming up. We've got an interview coming up here in a couple weeks. So not this coming Tuesday, but the following Tuesday. And that's going to be interesting because we're actually going to cover a topic that we kind of, I'll admit, we kind of do. I don't want to say make fun of, but we don't talk positively about it, because we're going to talk to somebody who actually helps families get tuition for college. And, so we're going to be going down a road that we normally don't go down, but it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be cool to see how this turns out. So that's coming up here on the 1st. And we've got some other interviews coming in the works, and, it's going to be a good time coming up, and we got some big things going on between Kyle and I. I know we've got some stuff we're working on too. So keep tuned in, guys. It's gonna be a journey in 2022 here.
That it will be. Hopefully some good stuff coming from what we're about to go do.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks to everybody for being here with us. And those of you that were here live with us, appreciate you all. And those that catch it on the replay, hopefully we'll see you live one day or another. And until the next episode, is those two dads out.
Don't forget, go like and subscribe. See you
Like
guys.
and subscribe, right?